Hi, this is Nick from the Zahara team. In this demonstration I'll show you invoice processing the easy way using our SmartInvoice solution. The first part is an intelligent OCR engine that's been specifically designed to recognize the useful information from your invoices. The second part is our SmartSync application. Now this application acts as the glue between our intelligent OCR engine, our cloud solution, and in some cases your Sage 50 system. And finally Zahara, which is our cloud solution specifically designed for the management and approvals of both purchase orders and invoices before exporting those invoices to your accounting package. Let's have a quick look at the first part of our solution, the intelligent OCR engine. Now this application is called SmartInvoices, and it's specifically designed for reading the useful information from your invoices. The first task is to load these invoices into the system, and you can do that one of two ways. If you have a scanner directly connected to your PC via USB, you can scan directly into the application using the scan button here. If you're using a multifunction printer or dropping PDFs into a directory, you can load up via the Open button. You can then select all of the files that you want to import, select the Open button, and they'll then be pulled into the application for processing. Now the first thing that the system does is recognize all of the characters on the invoices. It will then use a generic invoice processing template to be able to recognize all of the useful information from your invoices. Now the first thing that it does is it detects which business is being billed. So as in this case here you can see that Click to Scan Limited here has been billed, like so. Once we know this information, we can then display all of that particular business's suppliers, nominal codes, tax codes, etc., which are then made available for you when you process your invoices. What this means is that you are able to process invoices for multiple different companies at the same time, safe in the knowledge that you'll be able to post it to the right supplier, nominal code, tax code, etc. As an example, if I switch to the third invoice down, which is that I actually know that it's for one of my other companies, you can see that it has detected already that it's for my Edge Technology business rather than my Click to Scan business. And as soon as that's been picked, then as you can see the supplier account code and everything is all different and it's treated separately. If we have a look at the other information that's been detected, we can see that Click to Scan is the business unit that's been detected, Spielberg Solution is the supplier that's been detected. How it detects those can be based on a number of different factors. We can pick it up from the supplier's name as it appears in your accountancy package, or if you're being billed from a supplier who has a different name on their invoice, we can use our custom supplier name to be able to detect a supplier based on a bit of text that normally appears on them. If that fails, we can then move to the VAT registration number, supplier postcode, or allow you to pick manually if all else fails. We also do a very similar thing with business unit detection, so we'll try and detect it based on your company name as it appears in Sage. We'll also use a custom business name and the business postcode if required to try and detect which business is being billed. Following this, we also can see the header information that's been detected on this invoice, including the invoice number, the totals, the dates, default nominal code, currency, etc. We'll also see is that we've extracted all of the line items, including all of their totals, line item descriptions, etc. Now we do this by default, and we use a generic invoice processing template to be able to recognize it. But in the eventuality that it doesn't pick up the line items correctly, it is nice and simple to be able to train the system to be able to read these off the document. If we use this invoice as an example, let's clear off the invoice lines, and I'll show you how to teach the system how to read the useful information off of these invoices. You can clear the line items off by selecting this red button here, and then effectively when it comes around to training, very simply worry about the top line on the invoice only. So to start off with, if I select the quantity here, and then I use just a point and click, select the first quantity on the document, it will then generate me a line. It will then move me over to the splitter narrative, which is the description of the line item, what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a nice big box over the first line to make sure I include everything, and then simply I select what I have available in the way of totals. So I'll select the total net price and I'll have it off the document from there, and I'll select the tax amount and I'll have that from there. Once we have the first line item completely mapped out, very simply we select an item on the next line down, in this case quantity. I select the next quantity on the document. It will then use the information for that top line to work out where any other subsequent lines are, including any that are on any subsequent pages. And then, when it comes around to recognizing a Spielberg Solutions invoice next time, it will use these corrections that I've just made to be able to read it going forward. Once the system knows how to read your supplier invoices, your tasks to be able to process your invoices turns to simply correcting issues rather than coding from scratch or retraining. Instead, what you'll be doing is looking for invoices that have errors, such as a few that I have in my test batch here, highlighted by these icons in the bottom right hand corner. Anything that is marked with a green tick is ready for export. Any with a red icon highlight that there is an error with the document, and any with an orange icon highlight that there is some issue that requires some sort of human interaction just to double check. If we have a look at the third one down, there's an error message here, and if we select it we can see in this case here is highlighting the net taxed total amount. In this case, very simply, we select the net amount here and then very simply select it on the document. Once it's been selected, we can see that everything goes green because now all of the line totals, etc. now add up to the total as it appears at the bottom of the invoice. Now next time the invoice turns up, it will then use that correction to be able to read that information automatically without having to select it on the document. Now let's have a look at the final invoice in my list, which also has an issue. If I select it here, you can see that it's highlighting the net and the tax amount. And this is caused by, if we have a look at the line items on the invoice, that they don't add up to the net total or the tax amount, but caused by a random delivery charge appearing at the bottom of the invoice. This is caused by the delivery charge here at the bottom not marrying up to the composition of a line item at the top. So it doesn't have a quantity, it doesn't have a VAT percentage, and so it doesn't pick it up automatically. However, the ability to pick that up is nice and simple. If I select the splitter narrative here, and then select the delivery charge on the document, it will then use what it has available via these dotted lines to see that it's already picked up the total net amount. The only thing that we don't have any information available on is what tax percentage is being charged, so I am required to type 20% into this box, so then all of the totals make sense. Once everything adds up, the invoice down here it goes green, and it is now ready for export. The other two invoices that do have an issue currently highlighted with orange warnings highlight something that just requires double checking from a user. In this case, the thing that is highlighted is our invoice validation section that shows that this invoice has already been processed. Now, if you're reprocessing an invoice that you know that you have already deleted from either our cloud solution or from your accounting package, very simply select that field with the error message and push F3. When you do this, both the invoice and that field will go green, highlighting that you have forced the validation. What that will then allow you to do is be able to export it. If you haven't deleted the invoice from your accounting package or our cloud solution, it's not the end of the world. What will happen is that the next application I will show you will also have this same error message, as it will not be able to duplicate the data. How we detect invoice duplication is based on a combination of the detected business unit, the supplier, and the invoice number. Provided that we've seen those combination before, it will then be highlighted to a user as a possible duplicate. The final invoice in this list also has a very similar problem. So if I select it here, we can then see again it's got an invoice validation error. Very simply select it, push F3, and my entire batch is then mapped as ready for export. In some cases you'll find that actually you're not interested in all of the line items that have been detected on this invoice, so we provide you with two different ways of processing your invoices. The first is to ignore the line items altogether and manually split this invoice into given tax or nominal codes. To do that, we bin off all the line items, select the VAT summary section, and then key in the data for what we want to post to our accountancy package. If you don't want to split this invoice in any way, you can also bin these VAT summary section off as well and use just the totals or the header information of the invoice to create a transaction line. Now there is a limitation to that. We do require a narrative, as was shown by this error message that's highlighted. So very simply I select the narrative section, select something on the document, in this case our order number. Then once I have that available, everything goes valid, everything goes green, and we're then ready for export. Finally, when everything is valid and verified, we are able to export the invoices to the next stage in the process, as you can see by all of the green ticks here. To do this, very simply, we select the Smart Sync Export button here at the bottom. It will then export the data to our local database for use later on, and it will also archive the PDF in a location that then can be distributed around your system. The images are then removed from the application, allowing you to load up another batch of invoices, or if we're done, we can simply close and move on to the next stage. Now that everything's been exported, our SmartSync application takes over. This one's a system tray app that sits behind the scenes, running on a schedule, be that every minute, every half an hour, looking for any new invoices that have been exported from the OCR application, and then using the behind the scenes settings, either pushing those information up to our cloud solution, straight into Sage 50, archiving the PDF in File Director, all dependent on how you want to use our SmartSync application. As you can see, I have 5 invoices there that have been exported from our system, and they've been marked up with a blue icon which highlights that they are available on our cloud solution already. If I launch our cloud solution, this is Zahara. This system is specifically designed for the management and approvals of both purchase orders and invoices. To access our system, each of your users will log in with their own email address and password, and when they log in, they will be presented with a dashboard that contains information based on their roles within your business. For example, I'm a finance user, so I can see financial information for the company. I'm also an approver, so I can see all of the purchase orders and invoices that are currently awaiting my approval. As we can see, there's those 5 invoices that we saw in SmartSync slightly earlier on, and they are currently awaiting my approval based on an approval workflow. Now we can see more information about this by going to our invoicing dashboard. From here, we can see all of the invoices that are currently within our system against the business that we've currently logged into. So in this case, my SmartInvoice Click to Scan business. What you can see from this side here is the date of the invoice number, the supplier that was selected, totals, etc. But most importantly, we can see on the left hand side whether it's been exported, i.e. gone over to Sage or 0 or Sage 200, etc. And then on the right we can see the document status, which highlights whether it's been approved, rejected, pending approval, etc. Now the colour codes that you have on these icons, a grey icon here highlights that it's not been attached to a workflow. You don't have to use our approval process if you don't want to. The choice is totally up to you. If it's orange, it's currently pending approval, so it's waiting on at least one person to approve it. If it's green, it's been approved. If it's red, it's been rejected. And you can see the details of that by simply opening up the document as well. So if we have a look at the invoice in question, this is the digital information for the invoice that we have extracted via that SmartInvoice application. And down here in the document history, we can see that the invoice was created at a certain time, it was uploaded via our SmartSync application, and it's been sent to me for approval. Now, all of those invoices have come to me via email. So if I swap to my emails here, I have a number of invoices here that are currently pending my approval. If I open one of these up, we can see the associated information that was sent up to the solution and then routed out for approval. So I can see that it's for Spielberg Solutions, I've got an invoice number, I've got all of the lines, also got a PDF copy that I can review as well. and I can approve or reject this invoice directly from this email, or if this isn't enough information to be able to make that call, I can hit the Review with Detail button. It will take me directly to the invoice in question on our system without any logging in. We'll then be able to review the information, look at the document history, see the digital information of the invoice. We can also, as you can see by highlighting these in red, code the invoice at this point as well. So I can say actually that's going to go off to 5,000, that one's going to go to 6,000, etc., and code it from here. We can also leave a comment and see if any budget has been associated with it, and then once I'm happy with it, I can approve or reject from here as well. I'm going to approve this time for this particular invoice via my email, just so you can see what happens. So be this on their phone, tablet, Mac device, etc. They simply hit the approve button. It then flashes up our system, marks that off as approved, and it moves it into the next stage of the process. In my case, it actually starts to mark it for export to push it into Sage 50 for this particular business. What we can also do is approve in bulk. So if I come back to the dashboard of the system and I come to the Approver tab, we can see there's the 4 invoices there that are still pending approval. I can select all of these and hit the Approve or Reject button from here as well. Once they've been approved, they're going to move on to the next stage of the process. Now in this case, for my approval workflow, it marks it for export. As you can see down here, it's got 9 new invoices marked for export. If I move over to my system here, to my invoicing dashboard, what we should see is that they've been marked as pending export. And this is denoted by the orange symbol here on the left hand side. What we can also see is if any have been exported to, in this case, Sage 50 successfully. So you can see that this green one has already been exported to Sage. And if I was to open up this invoice, we can see in the same document history that it was when it was created, who it was sent for approval, who approved it, and then finally that it was marked for export and it was successfully exported to Sage 50 in this particular case at a certain time. Now if I launch Sage, which I'm currently running Sage 2017, and I log into one of my companies, and in this case here I'm going to go via suppliers, and I'm going to launch Spielberg Solution, and I come to the activity section. Here they are, the two of the invoices that were marked for Spielberg Solutions, exported to Sage with all of their associated line items, etc. What we can also do as part of SmartSync's export is export the PDF copy to the Memo tab of the supplier record, which, there we go, these are the ones that we've exported today, and that's another way that you can store the PDF. We also do it within a folder structure, and it's also available on the cloud solution as well. It's just giving you as many options in the way of storage of those PDFs as well. Now, if you are a Xero user, or you are using Sage 200, etc., and we aren't able to directly export the invoice in like we have done here, we can do that via the cloud solution. If I swap over to my Edge Technologies business, so this one here, this is a Xero company, so it's any invoices that are approved are then pushed into Xero. If I come into my invoicing dashboard here, we can see 2 invoices we sent up from earlier. Now, to export these manually rather than using the approval process, very simply we take everything that we want to export and we hit the export button. At that stage, it's then going to connect to Xero and push those invoices in. Now that they've gone green, we can see that they've been exported, and they've been exported directly into Xero. If I open up the invoice, we can see via the document history that it was successfully exported to Xero on a given time, but also we have a link to it within our Xero system. Click here to view. It will bring up Xero. I can then log in, and it will take me directly to the invoice in Xero with the associated information. As you can see, we've got the information here, but we've also pushed a PDF copy as well, so if we needed to review it, we have it available here. We also have a link that then allows you to whilst you're in Xero, to go back to the invoice as it appears in Zahara. So there is then a direct link between your Xero and your Zahara systems. That's the end of the demonstration. We've gone through the process of loading up invoices, recognizing the useful information that they contain, pushing that up to our cloud solution Zahara via our SmartSync application, routing it out for approval, then once it's been approved, pushing that into your accountancy package. For any further information, have a look at zaharasoftware.com. Thanks very much for your time. Bye-bye.